Welcome back to the David Pakman Show. I'm Farron Cousins sitting in for David today. David has a speaking engagement, and hopefully the clip of that is going to be available on youtube.com/midweekpolitics sometime in the very near future. I don't know if you've been paying attention to some of the goings-on with the actual Republican Party itself over the last few weeks, but this week in particular, we have seen some absolute, I don't want to call it insanity, but it kind of reads a lot like insanity. Steve Bannon, former member of the Trump administration, now back at Breitbart, his website, Breitbart.com, has published an article in the last few days talking about how Bannon and this new version of the Republican Party is attempting to take over Republican politics here in the United States. Bannon's plan is that he wants to run far-right conservatives, essentially alt-right conservatives, to challenge almost every sitting Republican that does not fit in to the Bannon model of politics, which includes Mitch McConnell, Senate Majority Leader. Bannon is essentially on a crusade at this point. He wants to remake the Republican Party in his image. And now that's a scary thought. We know what Steve Bannon stands for. We know he is all about the alt-right. We know there's some white supremacy leanings among those people. And that's what Bannon wants. Bannon is upset right now with the current incarnation of the Republican Party and the makeup of the House and Senate. And he's upset because they're not doing enough to push this country further to the right. He's angry that we don't have that wall yet. He's angry that we're not having mass deportations at the moment. He's angry that people are still allowed to come across the border. He's mad at the Republican Party for this. Now, Bannon personally and Donald Trump, there doesn't appear to really be too much friction there. I know after Bannon was let go or resigned or whatever actually happened behind the scenes there was a lot of talk that Bannon might be the guy to actually take down the Trump administration because he's the guy that knows everything. Unfortunately, it's kind of gone the other way. Bannon and Trump are still buddy-buddy. Neither of them has come out against the other, and instead, they're working to remake the Republican Party. And Bannon has all kinds of plans that have been laid out recently to launch these challenges to Republicans as they approach re-election in 2018. However, establishment Republicans, I guess we can call them, or moderate Republicans in some cases, they're not exactly happy about this because they understand what it means for the Republican Party, because all they have to do for evidence is look at what Donald Trump has done to the Republican Party. Now, that's the other side of this coin here. While Steve Bannon wants to take the party further to the right, make them more extreme, elect dozens of little Donald Trumps in offices all over the country, actual Republicans who care about their party, or at least pretend to, they have been coming out and warning in the past week or so that Donald Trump is absolutely destroying or threatening to destroy by his words and actions the modern incarnation of the Republican Party. Michael Steele, former chairman of the RNC, came out just a few days ago and said what Donald Trump is doing as president threatens the future of the Republican Party. Joe Scarborough, MSNBC host, former Republican congressman, said that destroying the GOP is actually going to be Trump's legacy. And what's interesting here is that there's a bit of a disconnect, I think, between sitting Republicans and the Steve Bannon types. Because let's be perfectly honest about what's happening within the Republican Party today. There is not a single policy, there is not a single thing that Donald Trump has done or pledged to do that the Republican Party itself has not already attempted to do in the past. The wall idea between the United States and Mexico, that wasn't Donald Trump's invention. He's not clever enough for that. Republican politicians have been proposing a wall for years. It's always been a fringe, you know, a guy that probably could never get elected or nobody ever took seriously proposing these things, but they have been proposed. Beyond that, when we look at things like tax reform, there's absolutely no difference between what Donald Trump wants to do and what the Republican establishment like McConnell and Paul Ryan want to do. They're in that together. They're all on the same page on tax reform. Healthcare. They want to repeal the Affordable Care Act. Trump came out today with an executive order trying to unwind that. They're all on the same page. They don't care if 22 or 32, depending on which version of their horrible bill that they're on now, 32 million people go without health insurance or get kicked off their plans because we repeal the subsidies that help them pay for it, or because their plans themselves get jacked up in price, or if they get excluded for pre-existing conditions. They don't care. But what's important is that they really are all on the same page here. So when you hear people like Michael Steele talking about Donald Trump's destroying the Republican Party, or Joe Scarborough saying they're destroying the Republican Party, or we want Mitch McConnell to resign, as some conservative leaders are saying today, keep in mind there's no difference in policy between any of these people. Joe Scarborough himself is one that infuriates me more than any, because, yeah, he's done a good job in the last few months talking out against Trump. Good for him. He helped set the Republican Party on this path back when he was a congressman in the 1990s. In fact, he was a congressman in my district. I was too young to vote at the time. Otherwise, I would have voted against him. But Scarborough helped with the Contract for America. He wanted to privatize the Department of Education. He wanted to privatize other governmental departments. Sound familiar? Because it's pretty much what Republicans still want today. The Republican Party has not changed. All Donald Trump has done is come out and help expose what they actually stand for, what they actually want to do. So I don't believe for a minute that people like Michael Steele or Joe Scarborough are truly upset that Donald Trump is destroying the party. Because at the end of the day, the policies that Trump has proposed are no different from policies we have seen from Republicans for the last 20 or 30 years.